Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Look North, our top story tonight. Ice hockey players welcome new rules on neck protection after the death of a player in Sheffield.
It's there for safety and it's there for a reason. We should be wearing it.
We'll hear about the support available to Steelers fans returning to the arena this weekend. Also tonight, the inquest into the death of 23-year-old Gracie Spinks continues. We'll have the latest. Two Yorkshire brothers head to London for the Remembrance Parade in memory of their dad.
Oh, I got 11 instead of 10!
And I go back to school for this year's Children in Need job swap.
And it's been chilly out there today, but we've had a good deal of sunshine. But which day of the weekend will be the better day? I'll have more details towards the end of the programme.
Thank you for your company. I hope you're well this evening. This weekend, fans will return to the arena in Sheffield where an ice hockey player suffered a fatal neck injury during a game. Adam Johnson, who played for the Nottingham Panthers, had his neck cut by a skate worn by a Sheffield Steelers player. He died later in hospital. 8,000 people were in the crowd that night. Since then, a local NHS initiative to support fans has had hundreds of people engage with their services. They've run online sessions and created bespoke videos to assist those returning to watch the sport. Now, in a moment, we'll hear from Sheffield Talking Therapies about the support that they are continuing to provide. But first, this week, a coroner called for neck guards to be compulsory for ice hockey players. But the sport's governing body will only strongly encourage players in the Elite League to wear them. Mark Ansell has been speaking to a young ice hockey player in Leeds.
The tragic death of Nottingham Panthers player Adam Johnson has rocked ice hockey, but it's not dimmed the enthusiasm for the sport among Leeds junior knights.
I love the adrenaline rush when you're playing the sport. It's like everything's so fast-paced.
Adrenaline rush you get and like the noise of it, how loud and atmospheric it is.
The atmosphere, there's no other sport like it.
The club has been looking after its 160 junior players after Adam Johnson's death.
We had a number of players that were actually at the game and then they played the next night. And so that was a big thing as a club. How do you handle that? And we've offered support to all of the players, but actually probably more to all of the parents because they recognise the danger of how it happened and, you know, God forbid it happens in this rink with any of our kids involved, but it could happen anywhere because it was just an accident.
Well, all the juniors playing here tonight are wearing one of these. This here is a neck guard, and anybody who plays ice hockey will have to wear one of these from January next year following Adam Johnson's death. But there is an exception, and that is the Elite League, the top division, which is where the Sheffield Steelers and the Nottingham Panthers play. Why is it that when players get to the age of 18, they want to get rid of their neck guard?
It can be uncomfortable, but I feel like it's more of the fact that you see all these older players not wearing them and you're like, oh, I can't wait to not wear them. They're a bit uncomfortable. All the NHL players, the Elite League players, they don't wear them. I've always felt that I would continue wearing a neck guard and a cage because I feel like it's there for safety and it's there for a reason. We should be wearing it.
How safe do you feel when you're playing ice hockey?
You're going to get injured like sometimes, like it's going to happen. It's ice hockey. Knowing that I've got protection around my neck and stuff, and that makes me feel better about it.
Make some noise, raise the roof for number 47, Adam Johnson!
Tomorrow, Sheffield Steelers take on Manchester Storm in their first fixture since Adam Johnson's death. Then on Sunday, they'll be back at Sheffield Arena playing Coventry Blaze. Being back on the ice will be a huge mental challenge for players and fans alike. Mark Ansell, BBC Look North.
So the Steelers are returning to the ice this weekend, as we just heard. They play twice. Tomorrow they travel to Altrincham to play Manchester Storm, and then they return to their home stadium, Sheffield Arena, on Sunday to face off against Coventry Blaze. The club says more than 7,000 tickets have already been sold for the game, and they're appealing to fans to come home. Our reporter Sally Hurst has been talking to one fan who was there on the 27th of October and is hoping that Sunday will be a healing moment.
It won't quite be the same at first. I don't really know how it will feel, but I'm ready for it. I want to continue going, and I hope that other fans that have experienced similar things will also return.
And do you think there's a danger that some fans will never return?
I do know that there are some fans that are not ready. I've also seen fans where they are ready, but they're asking questions about what happens if I get there and I decide I'm not comfortable, what happens next. I do think that getting back into the arena is going to be the important step, because not doing it is just going to delay, and it might actually be quite a healing moment.
Normally the ice hockey teams are bitter rivals, but has this brought them together?
So when it comes to these big games, we do get booed and hissed, and it's all part of the pantomime of ice hockey. But when something like this happens, it all stops, and at the end of the day, we're all people, we're all ice hockey fans. Doesn't matter what colour you're wearing, we come together.
Well, thousands of people returning to the arena on Sunday. It could be a really difficult time for them. A local NHS service has been delivering targeted support for ice hockey fans. Andrew Chester from Sheffield Talking Therapies joins us live from Sheffield. Thank you for your time, Andrew. So you've had lots of people engage with the services. This has been a lot, hasn't it, for people to process?
It's been a huge experience. Whenever people experience a traumatic event like the one that people witnessed 2 weeks ago, it takes its toll on people's well-being, and we've been hearing from people in our workshops talking about flashbacks and intrusive memories, finding it difficult to concentrate, lots and lots of strong emotions, feeling quite overwhelmed at times. So it's really understandable people feel anxious about the prospect of going back to the game.
So what support have you been offering for them to come to terms with that trauma?
Well, we went into action as soon as we could, literally 24 hours after the news of Adam's death, and we offer our condolences to the family and the clubs and all the fans. We've put on well-being sessions online, which people could attend and take part in online chat. That enable people to get a sense of normalisation. We told people about the symptoms that they were having and why we get trauma symptoms and why our memory works in a certain way, and people could see from the chat that other people were experiencing that too. So normalising things and giving people some tools to help them to manage the kind of symptoms. So we taught them breathing techniques and grounding techniques where we come back to our 5 senses that help people to kind of soothe down the reaction that's happening for them.
Some people are...
Then we've created an online resource, sorry, yeah.
No, sorry, Andrew, do continue, because I was going to ask you about that. There is an online resource on the Steelers website, actually, isn't there?
There is, yes. We've created a bespoke website specifically for ice hockey fans who were present at the arena, and there's a whole load of resources on there and information, and in particular 2 videos, a recording of our wellbeing session, and then another recording which we loaded up to the site yesterday, which is specifically about returning to the game and helps people, talks people through the feelings that they might be having and actually why it might be a really helpful thing for people to attend the game as a way of processing the memory. We can get stuck by trying to avoid the difficult thoughts and feelings, but if we go back to the place that we encountered the difficulty in the first place, we get a kind of then and now effect. So we can realise that those events are now in the past. We can start to file them away in a different part of the brain, and we can see that things are very different now. So there'll be a lot of emotion, strong emotion in the arena, no doubt about that whatsoever. There'll be sadness, there'll be grief, there'll be a lot of distress and anxiety as people recall those events, but people will start to move on, and as the afternoon progresses, people will see that things are different and getting back to normal.
Some really good advice there, Andrew. Thank you for your time. And let's hope it does help all those fans returning to the arena at the weekend. Next this evening, a 14-year-old boy is due to go on trial in April next year, charged with murdering a 15-year-old in Leeds earlier this week. Alfie Lewis was stabbed on Church Road in Horsforth and died later in hospital. We can't name the boy who's been accused because of his age. He appeared at Leeds Crown Court this morning and will be back there for a plea hearing next month. Well, it's been a really busy afternoon in our courts across the region today. Ollie Constable has been keeping across all the stories for us. Let's start with one of the biggest drug operations ever in the country.
That's right, Amy. This is an organised crime gang that's been jailed today for smuggling in cocaine worth more than £1.5 billion. It was brought in boxes of frozen chicken from a Mexican cartel to then be distributed across the UK. In total, there was 15 tonnes of the drug, some of it seen here in this police video. Well, today, 6 people were jailed for their roles, 3 of which are from West Yorkshire. Sherry Ann Rayner was jailed for 20 years. Her partner, Liam Harrington, was jailed for 3 years, and Megan Budden from Dewsbury was jailed for 2 years. And in the last couple of hours, we've also heard about a teenage far-right supremacist who planned an attack on Muslim worshippers here in West Yorkshire. Well, Joe Metcalfe had a meticulous plan to disguise himself as an armed police officer before launching the attack. He stole and crashed his father's car during the reconnaissance mission before he was arrested. He was found guilty of preparing to commit an act of terrorism, as well as admitting having a blade and encouraging others to commit terrorism. He was jailed for 10 years with a further 6 years on licence. And this week we've also been hearing about a FedEx driver who stabbed his manager to death while at their depot in Rotherham earlier this year. Well, the man on the left in these pictures here, Ronald Sekinyako, had been suspended after failing to pay for fuel in a company van and wrongly thought he hadn't been paid himself. Well, during a meeting to discuss the dispute, he then stabbed Philip Woodcock in the heart. Witnesses giving evidence in court recalled how Sekinyako shouted at them, insisting FedEx owed him money and warning them that there will be a death. Well, today a jury in Sheffield found Sekinyako guilty of murder and is due to be sentenced on Monday. Mr. Woodcock's family says he died doing what he did most, helping others.
Ollie, thank you. It certainly has been a grim week of news across our region, hasn't it? And sadly, this story isn't any better. The family of a young woman from Chesterfield who was killed by a colleague who had been stalking her have told an inquest they were under the impression the issue with their daughter that she was facing had already been resolved. 23-year-old Gracie Spinks was fatally stabbed by Michael Sellers in Duckmanton, Derbyshire in 2021. The hearing was told Miss Spinks described feeling anxious and scared by Sellers. She'd reported him to the police following a number of incidents of unwanted attention. Phil Bodmer reports from Chesterfield Coroner's Court.
Gracie Spinks is believed to have been killed by Michael Sellers after he became obsessed with her. An inquest heard a child and her mother found Gracie's body after they arrived to see their own horses at a local farm in June 2021. Sellers' body was discovered a few hours later in a nearby field.
Today, in a statement given by Gracie to her employer and read out by the coroner Matthew Cooley, she said she was anxious and had told Sellers to leave her alone. She said he's been messaging colleagues about what she was doing and who she was with.
The court heard she'd found his actions creepy and she'd not wanted to come into work with how he made her feel, upset and angry. Another witness described how Gracie was unsure about a relationship and felt Sellers too clingy.
The court also heard statements read out on behalf of Gracie's mother and father, Alison and Richard. They said from early February 2021 they were under the impression issues facing Gracie were resolved. Mr. Spinks told the hearing, "Had I known how dangerous Sellers was, I would have done everything in my power to safeguard her." Finding out about the discovery of a brown rucksack containing knives, an axe and a hammer linked to Sellers a month before she died was a devastating blow.
Alison Ward also described an incident in the Christmas before Gracie died. She said in December 2020, COVID had meant the household had to isolate. A few days later, Sellers turned up with some Christmas presents. Gracie told her she thought this was a bit weird. She said he was becoming a nuisance. A statement from a police officer also read out in court said a family member saw knives on Sellers' bedroom floor and told him he could speak to them or a doctor if he needed support. Sellers laughed and said, "They can't sort this out for me. The inquest continues." Phil Bodmer, BBC Look North, Chesterfield.
Let's have a look at sports news now. 15-year-old boxer Rihanna DeForo has won her professional debut fight in Mexico. The teenager, who trains in Doncaster, beat 39-year-old Milagros Hernandez Gonzalez on points in a 4-round contest. DeForo is not allowed to fight as a pro in the UK until she's 18. Trainer Steffi Bull described her win as the start of something very special. One to watch, I'm sure. The busy weekend football fixture list includes Sheffield United's Premier League match away at Brighton on Sunday. We also have several teams in the Women's FA Cup first round, as well as Wembley final incentive. The FA have also announced a much bigger prize fund this season. They've doubled to a total of £6 million. It will come into effect from the third round onwards, which certainly adds incentive for players such as Barnsley Women, who host Liverpool Feds in their tie.
It would be nicer if they dropped it down a little bit to help teams like ourselves and other teams around us, just to take that extra pressure off. Like I said, we've all got full-time jobs, and this is just a hobby, and other teams get to play full-time, and obviously that's our ambition. And prize money like that will help that in the future if that is increased to lower levels.
It's starting to be recognised, and that's probably due to the Lionesses' success on the pitch, and then that filters down. So you can definitely see more investment and across all walks of the game, whether it's grassroots or whether it's at the elite with the Lionesses. So you definitely see more investment, but I think there's still a long way to go as well.
In case you've forgotten, it is, of course, Remembrance Sunday this weekend. Thousands of people will march past the cenotaph in London to remember those who fought for their country. Among them will be two boys, Austin and Cooper from Penistone. Their dad, Chris, was a veteran who took his own life in 2017. It'll be the first time the boys have taken part in the Remembrance Parade. They've been supported by a charity for bereaved military children. John Maguire has more.
This is a place of comfort, peace and solace for Gilly and her two sons, Austin and Cooper. The boys were just 7 and 3 years old when their dad, Chris, a photographer in the army, took his own life 7 years ago.
Both boys were so young, initially I'd done the whole story that Daddy was a star. I'd not really been honest with them about what had happened, and it was quite a tough journey.
Since Chris's death, they've been supported by Scotty's Little Soldiers, a charity that helps bereaved children from military families.
Genuinely believe if we hadn't have met Scotty's, the journey for all three of us would have been really, really different.
I just remember us not really talking about it, and you would do things that you didn't think we noticed, like you'd just go into the bathroom and cry, while we'd sit in the living room and just pretend to ignore it. And we started talking about it, and we started doing it through ways that would help us. Like I always did it through art, and you would just do it whenever you felt. You'd just talk because you're good at that, and you'd make up little stories that you remembered, and you'd tell us things about that, and that would be your way of connecting. And then we joined Scotty's, and it's helped us so much.
The precious box of keepsakes helps them talk about Chris. The charity has shown them how to have those conversations and to ensure he remains part of the family.
And it is all down to the fact that they opened us up to start those conversations.
They're receiving their distinctive yellow and black scarves to join other families at the Remembrance Sunday Parade in London, an event they had previously avoided.
For Cooper, he asked this time, why are we not going? And we said, oh, I didn't think you wanted to. And he said, well, I do, because it's about remembering my dad. And you're really proud, aren't you? So you really want to wear the medals and do that walk.
Well, I was just thinking, like, I don't get to know much about him because I was only young. So, like, I don't remember much at all. It's just nice to, like, learn more about him.
We need to figure out which side they go, because
there's a meaning behind it.
Remembrance means different things to us all, but for this family it's about the husband, father and soldier that they've lost, but is still a major part of their lives. John Maguire, BBC News, Penistone in South Yorkshire.
The theme of this year's Children in Need fundraiser is Challenge Yourself, so I thought I would do just that. I've spent 10 years sat on this sofa, so the Look North team thought it was time I get out of my comfort zone and try something very different. We asked you to send your ideas in, and Rachel Williamson from Tockwith Primary was one of the first to get in touch. She invited me to be a teacher and I could not resist that job. She is here along with the school dog, Neville. I couldn't resist as soon as she mentioned you, Neville. We're going to see how I got on very shortly, but first this is a job swap, so Rachel, it's over to you to try my job.
I've been teaching for 23 years now and it's an amazing job and requires lots of energy. Neville's been at the school for 7 years, since he was a little pup. And I invited Amy along to do my job at Tockwith Primary Academy, so let's see how she got on.
I'm a novice, so be gentle with me. Promise? That giggle says, ooh, I'll think about it.
It's time for the register now, over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Frankie.
Morning.
Good morning, Isabella.
Good morning.
I tried homeschooling, it was disastrous. Any top tips of how to be a good teacher?
Smile, even though you might be doing that underneath, and enjoy it.
6 minus 4, or 6 take away 4. Well done! Think it, say it, write it, check it.
And when we do 1 add 9, we've switched it from 9 add 1. What do we call that, Maxie?
Commutivity. Huh?
I think that Amy could do better at working the answer out with the number sentences.
I just think she needs to do a bit better, like, spelling.
She could improve on maths because we were doing our stuff and she wrote 11 instead of 10.
So we're going to do our own... Oh, I put 11 instead of 10! Uh-oh. Oh no. I can't believe how much you fit in to just a couple of hours.
It's a busy, busy morning and the children just are keen to learn and they get on with their learning.
It's so fast though, isn't it? You're doing English and then you're doing maths and then you're going back to literacy and then you go doing number bonds. It's like it's non-stop.
It is. It's like a game of ping pong, just like what we played.
You're on your feet the whole time, aren't you?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
I always knew teachers were amazing, but I have a whole newfound respect for what you do. It's just incredible. It is autumn. Brilliant!
I love it because every day is different and no matter whether there's something that has come up that's been quite challenging, there's always something to smile about and I think that's quite precious. So I would say I love it as much as when I first started.
Ping! 10. It's lunchtime! Well, the children were brutally honest in what they thought of my teaching. She can't do maths and she can't spell. Apart from that, she's all right. What did you think, Rachel? How did I get on?
I think you did remarkably well and we loved having you in our school. The children thought you did a very good job. They loved your honesty. They loved the honesty with how nervous you felt, but you showed real resilience and a real sense of fun and our children just enjoyed having you in class. They would like to give you a little bit more help with your maths though.
Well, by the looks of that, I obviously need it. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. It was such an honour to see what you do and a real eye-opener as well, because for that whole time, up until even the end of lunchtime, you didn't sit down once. And you have to have that high energy and that responsibility to look after so many children. I don't know how you do it, so it was great to do it. Thank you so much. Big question is, who's got the hardest job, Rachel, you or me? I know what the answer is.
I think you've got a hard job, actually. I tell you what, you keep to your job and I'll keep to my job.
That sounds like a good deal. Neville, I'm sorry we didn't manage to get you on camera. It was such a busy day in year 2. We didn't get a chance to... Oh, he's off, he's bored. He's off, that's it. Thanks, Neville. See ya. Rachel, thank you so much.
Thank you.
More job swaps to come, but that is by far the hardest and the most rewarding so far.
Thank you, Amy.
Are you planning your own challenge for children in need? If so, we really want to hear from you. Here is Pudsey with all of the important details.
Kill Pudsey! You know who is on the way. Each year, your fundraising helps BBC Children in Need change young lives for the better. We'll be sharing some stories on Look North, and if you want to join in the fun this year, the Spot-tacular is on November the 17th. Let us know if you're up to anything by emailing look.north@bbc.co.uk. And who knows, Pudsey might put you in the picture.
I'm joined now by the lovely Katerina.
Hello.
You'd be a great teacher.
Do you think so?
You've got that lovely calm temperament and very smiley.
My niece and nephew say that as well, but you know what? If I was going to job swap, I've always said I wanted to be an elf in Santa's grotto at Christmas. Don't you think? It just seems really stress-free, relaxing, it's all Christmassy.
Everyone's happy all the time.
Exactly.
Although you do get probably a few tears and tantrums.
That's very true.
I never thought of that. That's a great one.
But your weather today, well, I think through this evening it's really going to turn quite chilly. And we're looking at a frost out there tonight and some patchy mist and fog, which may take a while to lift tomorrow morning. And actually, this morning it was very cold. We had some mistiness first thing. I chose that picture obviously because of the dog, and I thought I'd keep the animal theme going as well. On this one, you can see completely blue sky at some points today. Hardly a cloud in the sky in this photo here. Thank you, as always, for sending in your photos. If you'd like your picture on the telly, you can send them to us via social media, or you can head to our Weather Watchers website. So as I was mentioning, out there this evening it is going to turn very cold, so we are expecting a frost into tomorrow morning with some patchy mist and fog. But out there tomorrow, it is looking mostly dry. Better day of the weekend by far, because Sunday this weather front will push in from the west, bringing outbreaks of rain. I think that rain's really going to arrive for us later on through the afternoon, and it could persist through the evening. So this evening it's looking mostly dry. Any showers I think can find further west, but the further east you are, it is going to stay mostly dry, as I just mentioned, with clear skies, some patchy mist and fog. But notice our temperatures down to around 1 or 2 degrees. So for your high waters then, we've got Whitby at 220 tomorrow morning, and then Scarborough at 228. So a cold and frosty start tomorrow morning. I think that patchy mist and fog may take a while to lift, but once it does, through the rest of the day, it's looking fine, it's looking dry, lots of sunshine around. I think if any showers, they may just clip into the coast, the North York moors, but elsewhere, lots of dry weather, and our temperatures very similar to today. We're looking at highs of around 9 in Celsius. But it's Sunday, things really do take a bit of a turn. That cloud will increase and thicken through the day with outbreaks of rain through the afternoon, and that rain is going to persist through the evening, and it looks to be unsettled with further outbreaks of rain on Monday.
Katerina, thank you. So if anyone has Father Christmas visiting a grotto near them, Katerina is open for business as an elf. That is it from us. Have a wonderful weekend. Amanda is here later. Bye-bye.